right, so this is your Thursday study sheet. You're going to take it home and finish it. So what we'll do today is we'll answer part of the questions together, and then you'll take it home. You've got to make sure you bring it back tomorrow, because we'll be correcting it in another video tomorrow. So what you're going to need to do is try to finish it tonight so you can see if you got it right as a way to practice and study for your quiz. So let's talk about one-digit division. Where do you put the divisor? You put it outside the division symbol. Number 2, where do you put the dividend? The dividend is the one that goes on the inside. Number 3, where do you put the quotient? Remember, the quotient's the answer. And that's the one that goes on top. So you remember, here's your division symbol, there's your divisor, there's your dividend, and there's your quotient. Number 4, what do you do if you have a remainder? You add a decimal, in the dividend, and the quotient. And then you drop a 0. So, if you have a remainder, you add a decimal in your dividend, you add a decimal in your quotient, and then you can drop zeros to try to find out if you can get no remainder. That leads us to question 5. How many zeros do you need to drop to be done? Well, if you drop 3 zeros and you still have a remainder, we'll call that good enough. So how do you know if you're done? You've either dropped 3 zeros or you already have no remainder, whichever comes first. Let's take a look at number 6. 6a. I don't know if I left myself enough room when I was writing these down. 4 goes into 16. Use your multiplication chart. 4 goes into 16 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. Drop your 0. 4 goes into 0 times. Drop your 4. I did not leave myself enough room. 4 goes into 4 1 time. All right, and no remainder. So 4 goes into 1,604 401 times. Let's talk about B over here in number 7. I left myself much more room here, that's good. 9 goes into 5. It can't, 5 is too small. So I'm going to have to do 9 into 58. That's fine, but there's a decimal. So now I can do 9 into 58 because I've moved past the decimal but I do have it in my answer. So I look down my 9s, and the closest thing to 58 without going over is 54. And that's 6. 9 goes into 54 6 times, because 9 times 6 is 54. And then I minus. 8 minus 4 is 4. And 5 minus 5 is nothing. Drop your 6. And now it's 9 into 46. So you look down your 9s until you get to the closest thing to 46 without going over. The closest thing in your 9 section, your 9 column, would be 45. What are you going to put up here? Well, how many times does 9 go into 45? 5 times, because 9 times 5 is 45. And then I minus them. 6 minus 5 is 1. 4 minus 4 is 0. Now, I want to drop a 0 because I have a remainder. But I'm not going to put a decimal because I already have one. So I'm just going to drop a 0. 9 into 10 goes, the closest thing to 10 in your 9 column is 9. So that's a 1. I have 1 left over. I can drop another 0. But look at how I've got the same number happening again. Remember, when this happens, it's just going to repeat itself over and over. I'll continue to drop zeros. I'll continue to have 1 as a remainder. I'll continue to get 10. And so this 1 is a repeating decimal, which means it will go for infinity. And now I'm done. Even though I only dropped 2 zeros, if I keep dropping them, I'm still going to get the same number. So that's your repeating decimal. This will happen sometimes. All right, let's do one more question. We've got some time. I hope the video doesn't cut out these things. The video only goes for 10 minutes and then my camera shuts off. So let's tempt fate. 7 goes into 8. 7 is the closest thing to 8 without going over. 7 times 1 is 7. 8 minus 7 is 1. Drop your 4. 7 goes into 14. Look down your 7s. The closest thing to 14 without going over is 14. How do I get to 14? 2. 7 goes into 14 2 times, because 7 times 2 is 14. And that is a 0, so I drop my 3. Now here's something interesting. When the 7 goes into the 3, it can't. The 3 is too small. So I have to put a 0 in my answer so that I can drop my 9. And now I've got 7 into 39. So 7 goes into 39. What's the closest thing to 39 in your 7 column? It's 35. 7 into 35, it's 5 if you look on the side, with 4 left over. 9 minus 5 is 4. Now I've got a remainder, so decimal, decimal, 0. Now I've got 40. The closest thing is still going to be 35. And what do I have left over? I'm still going to have to put a 5 up here for my answer. And now I've got 5 left over. So I can drop another 0. And now I've got 50. Now the closest thing to 50, look down your 7s, is 49. 7 times 7 is 49. And so I've got 1 left over. Don't forget to borrow, right? The 9 you can't actually take the 9 away from the 5, so that's really a 4.